friends, hope you guys are doing well. Welcome back to another illustration. Today we'll be illustrating with the resolution of 2860 into 2080, a different than the landscape resolution. And I'm so happy how this illustration turned out. So let's get started. We are doing the base layer, which is the sky layer. I'm using the brush called coarse watercolor. Make sure to follow the size, strength, and the rest whatever it's seen on the screen. And we'll be using three colors for the entire sky. One, it is the orange shade and followed by pinkish orange shade, and on the top layer of the sky we're going with double color. One is the darker blue and then the vibrant blue itself. So one of the key tips of digital illustration is how you can use different layer for different prospect itself. So if you want to erase something, you don't have to worry like you have done the entire illustration and you don't want it to go waste. So in that scenario, it's much easier to delete the layer itself rather than worrying about anything. So this app which we are currently working on is the Sketchbook app. Of course, I know you guys might have typed in Sketchbook and you might have landed in this video, but I'll still follow a few hint of what Sketchbook is all about. Now we are going to smudge the entire sky layer, and we are using the brush called blending. This makes it more realistic compared to other, or maybe I'm more used to using this brush. So make sure you follow again the strength and the opacity and the flow of the brush to follow. And I'm here using a simple stroke line and making sure all both the colors are mixed up properly, and I'm doing not with a lot of pressure but with a slight hint of pushing the darker shade into the lighter shade, and I'm kind of going to and fro in the manner. So if you're using any other pencil apart from Apple Pencil, or if you're using a stylus, just make sure it's up to your satisfaction of the strength and the pressure you want to put in the pen itself. So I'm using Apple 6th generation iPad and Apple 1st gen pencil. So it's kind of an outdated one, but still it's doing its job. So I'm happy to use even to this day. So let's move on to so step two is my favorite, is to draw cloud. I know it's going to be difficult for many people if you're just starting. If you have already watched tons of my videos all about cloud, cloud, cloud. So I'm using again coarse watercolor to do the base, that is to add color as a cloud. If you can see, I'm just giving a round edge on each and every top layer. So it's just going to be an uneven layer. So during blending of the cloud, it's where it starts looking like a fluffy cloud itself. So I'm not using any other color. I'm just using one single darker shade of blue, so that it's much popping out from the orange shade. So here I'm using wash brush to bring it all together. So as I was previously talking about the app which we are currently working on, it's the Autodesk Sketchbook app, which is freely available for both Android and iOS device, and it's worked pretty well in phone as well. If you have a phone built in with a stylus like Samsung's related phone, but even if you have a stylus, you can use in Apple phone itself. But it's very good. It's worked very well on the Android device and as well as in the iOS device. So despite of me using it in Apple, I think it's a kind of uneven thing to do, because anybody who has Apple, they definitely use Procreate. I love using Procreate as well, but my entire illustration comes to Sketchbook because I started my illustration back from Samsung Note 4. Now that we have finished with the cloud, we are following up with the sun. This is the most easiest step out of all, the easy sun. I called it. You're using to use glow brush and just doing a tap, tap, tap for the fourth time and you get this glowy sun. How awesome is this? I'm not doing anything else. I'm just aligning it according to my preference, whether you want it bigger or smaller. I'm just going to be doing some changes, and then I'm happy about how the sun looks. So I'm using cashmere eraser to erase out the extra top layer of the sun. Now hop on to step number 4. So now it's kind of we have our sky, we have a cloud, we have a sun. All we are doing is bringing the entire picture into one frame, that is popping up of the cloud and making sure that the sun rays drops into your cloud. So for example, you have a darker shade, and of course the edge of it should be gleaming or blooming with the yellowish tint of the sun ray. So I'm just using glow neon pen to give an outline. If you look at this, I have added a layer above the cloud layer so that it does not disturb the cloud layer itself. So we are just going to blend the outline using the wash brush again. So I'm just letting the strength or the size of the pen go a little bit less because I don't want to smudge all over the blue, but just the outer corner of the fluffy cloud, I want it to be highlighted with the tint of yellow. So that's what we are trying to do here. Yeah, coming back to where I was talking about how Autodesk Sketchbook is one of the greatest app you should start with illustration. So I have started back in 2015, 2016. I was completely in Note 4. Only in 2018 I started with iPad. I really got overwhelmed how you can draw an entire illustration without using your sketchbook, watercolor, any kind of physical product, but still you can get the happiness of getting the entire illustration in under 20 minutes, and something I always look up to the day. So now we are just doing some more highlights. So we are going to add the sun rays that is coming out of the cloud. Okay, so these are a few. I'm using flow airbrush to give that hint. Again, if you see, I have added a layer below the cloud layer so that it does not disturb any of the layer in between. So I'm just adding a hint of yellowish tone here and there, and then I'm going to blend it across so that it looks more realistic or more natural yellow tint, rather than, if you look in the beginning of the video, I have not added the yellow tint, but now I'm adding it because that's where it makes sense, because the cloud is getting its yellowish tint highlight, and also the sky is getting the yellowish highlight because of the sun. So just make sure you get practiced of blending. It's not easy. You don't have to go very harsh. You have to be very calm, very just be at the fine tip of the pen, and don't smudge a lot. Now if you can see, we are doing the sun rays. I'm just using the help of a straight line, and I'm using the same flow airbrush to get it out. So I have added a new layer above the cloud layer, not beneath that, so that I get the angle of the sun ray perfectly. And once this is done, I'll be using the help of cashmere eraser to just erase the outer corner of the sun ray so that it looks like it's coming from behind the cloud. So from the sun rays just penetrating through the cloud into the sky. So that's where my idea goes into. Now that we have complete in step, let's get into the last and the final one, step 5. This is one of the most thing where we make sure that our image has a object which brings everything together. So we are using camo texture from the texture brush, and I'm just adjusting the size according to it. So I'm just going to add a backdrop of a grass, and then I'm going to add some more brush stroke as a dry leaf or so and so, and then we'll draw the entire tree itself. We are going to use the feathery brush. I hope I'm pronouncing it. Yeah, it's a feathery brush to do. So make sure you adjust the size according to it. If you put too much of pressure, it gives you a bigger string of grass, but the more you put, the more you can actually work on it. So once that is done, I'm going to illustrate the tree. Make sure you add a tree in a new layer rather than old, because if you're going to make mistake again, you can delete the layer and start with the new. So I'm using dry ink. Lately this is like my favorite one to illustrate my trees or something. If you have watched my previous video, I've spoken about how this brush looks so realistic when you want to draw any tree. So I'm just drawing a tree branch out here and there, and then to add the tree itself, I'm using camo brush just by dabbing. I'm not projecting out anything harder on there. I'm just dabbing across to make it look like a tree itself. So we are finally done with the image. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If yes, make sure to like, share, and comment down which type of video are you looking forward to. If you're new here, make sure to smash that like button because it's much needed. I can see my audience who are watching are 90% they are not subscribed, so it will be kind enough from your side to subscribe. And thank you very much for joining in again, and hope to see you in the upcoming video. Till then, take care, have a great life, and make sure to make the best out of every single day. And here we sign off for today. Bye bye.